Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillahi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. Amma ba'd. So you guys haven't been asking many questions on the forum. So I assumed you guys just don't need any answers because you're not asking any questions. But there was one question someone did ask. They said, how do I control myself in terms of my anger because I have anger issues, especially around my parents? So let's talk about anger. I think this is a good topic. So anger, how would you define anger? What's that? How would you define anger? If you had to give it a definition. Gur? Yes, sir. You start getting irritated, annoyed. But can you be irritated and annoyed but not angry? Yes. So what is anger?
A feeling.
A feeling? Okay, there's lots of feelings. How do we define anger? Yes, sir. Rage? It's just a different word. Yes. Getting rage baited? So that can be a form of anger. What is anger? Yes. Lashing out. I like that. Sisters, girls, do you want to answer this question? What is anger? Yes. Yes, you. Loud. You in the front. Shh. Boys, quiet, please. Being frustrated. But can we be frustrated and not angry? So I like the answer here. Who said lashed out? Lashing out. Crashing out or lashing out? Okay. Close enough, I guess. What do you have to say?
When you stub your toe.
When you stub your toe. So anger, all the things you all mentioned is part of anger. Right? Anger, your blood starts to boil. You get upset. You get frustrated. You get irritated. All of those things are part of anger. But what anger actually is it's a change in our behavior. We are going to do things when we are angry that we are not going to do when we're not angry. That's why you can be irritated and not angry. You're upset and you're not angry. You're frustrated, but you're not angry. But when you become so upset that it makes you do things you normally would not do, now you are in anger. Right? So what does our Prophet ﷺ tell us about anger? He says in one hadith, إِنَّ الْغَضَبْ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ وَإِنَّ الشَّيْطَانَ خُلِقَ مِنَ النَّارِ. He says anger is from shaitan and shaitan was created from fire. And another hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, indeed anger is like a burning rock, a coal that is burning hot, and it's put inside of the heart of the son of Adam. He said, have you not seen that when a person gets angry, the redness of his eyes and the swelling of his jugular vein? So the Prophet is describing anger as like a fire inside of someone. And he says shaitan is from fire and anger is from shaitan. So the reality of anger is that this is almost a weapon of shaitan. In another hadith, the Prophet says, when the ruler becomes angry and lashes out, shaitan has taken control of him. Shaitan is using your anger to make you do things you normally would not do. And hadith in Sunan al-Tirmidhi, the Prophet ﷺ describes 4 kinds of people. He says, the ones that are slow to anger, and quick to calm down, أُولَٰئِكَ خِيَارُ النَّاسِ. These are the best of people. It takes a lot to make them angry, and when they're angry, they can cool themselves down very quickly. He says a second type of person, the one who is very quick to get angry, and when he's angry, it's very difficult to calm him down. He says this is the worst kind of person. And then he says the one who is quick to anger, but also quick to calm down, the Prophet says his two traits cancel each other out. So he has a bad quality, he's quick to anger, but he has a good quality, which he calms down quickly. He says these two cancel themselves out. And he says, and the one that is slow to anger, but also slow to calm down, he's also, the two are canceling each other out. So the best of all the people are the one that the Prophet ﷺ says is slow to get angry, but also very quick to calm himself down. And we have to understand that anger, as Al-Khattabi says, emerges from our arrogance, from kibr. And we spoke about arrogance before. Why do you think anger, what do you think anger has to do with arrogance? Why do you think anger comes out of our arrogance? Out of our ego? Yes?
When you're mad at some people, say they're rage baiting you, then everybody starts laughing at you, so your ego says
So everyone's laughing at you, they're rage baiting you. Okay, and what does that have to do with your ego and your arrogance? Your ego gets hurt.
Your mind tells you to fight back and say.
So you want to fight back. Yeah. What were you going to say?
It hurts your ego.
It hurts your ego.
You need to build your ego back, so you start yelling at it. So you lie to yourself.
So you want to build your ego back by yelling back at everyone. No, this is actually, both of you are correct. Right? Someone slights you by making fun of you, by insulting you, by rage baiting you, by whatever it might be. You feel like your ego is attacked. You're like, I am important, I am popular, I am this and that. I need to be treated a certain way. And if you're not treating me that way, then I'm angry and I'm going to fight you, right? So the anger comes out of the ego. And the humility is, I don't care if you don't like me. It doesn't bother me. You make fun of me, don't care. And subhanAllah, this shows you the one who is angry, the anger is coming from his ego. The ego is because he's enslaved to other people. He needs other people to like him. He needs other people to look at him a certain way. She needs other people to appreciate her a certain way. And when they don't get that, they get angry. And this is why when Allah speaks about people who are humble in the Quran, He uses a very interesting phrase. He says, الَّذِينَ يَمْشُونَ عَلَى الْأَرْضِ هَوْنًا. When they walk this earth, they walk easily. When you're humble, it's really easy. Life is so easy when you're humble. When you have humility. You know why? That guy just disrespected you and he said this and this and this about you. And you're like, I don't care. So what? I don't need people to look at me a certain way. And if they think I'm bad, so what? I have my faults, no problem. You understand? Humility actually saves you. And when we have ego, that's when we become angry really quickly. Okay, so what are the remedies the Prophet ﷺ teaches us that when we are angry, we want to control our anger. We don't want our anger to take control of us and shaitan to control us through our anger. The Prophet ﷺ says, I know a word, إِنِّي لَأَعْلَمُ كَلِمَةً, I know a word, if you were to say it when you were angry, the anger would leave him. What is it? Who can guess? All of you for sure know this word, this statement, this phrase. Yes. أَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ. This is the first thing the Prophet is telling us. Because shaitan is using your ego and your anger to now make you do things you wouldn't normally do. So the Prophet is saying, make dua, say, oh Allah, protect me from shaitan. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. The second thing, the Prophet ﷺ says, if one of you becomes angry and he is standing, he should do what? Sit down. And then if his anger does not go away, he should? Who knows the next one? He should lie down. Okay, another hadith, the Prophet ﷺ says, whoever senses his anger, let him cling to the ground. Meaning sit down or lie down. So why is the Prophet telling us to do this? He's saying change your physical posture. And when someone is standing up, they're ready to do what? To fight. Right? So he says sit down. And if sitting down is still not tempering your anger, then lie down. The next thing the Prophet tells us to do when you're angry, the Prophet says, if any of you are angry, then let him, who knows? End of this hadith. Let him be. It's the next one. You jumped ahead. Let him be quiet. Let him be silent. Right? Because what happens is, someone says something to rage bait you, right? So then you're going to do what? You're going to say something back to them, right? And then they're going to say something back to you. And now you're like really angry. And then you're going to say something back to them. And then they're going to say it back to you. And now you're like fuming with anger. If you just went quiet, you diffuse the whole thing. The whole thing stops, right? So let him be silent. The next thing the Prophet ﷺ, he says, verily anger is from shaitan and shaitan is from the fire, and fire is only extinguished with water. So if any of you becomes angry, let him make wudu. Talked about that one. Okay. The final thing that is mentioned here that will help us control our anger is to remember the reward of the one who controls his anger. First of all, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, He says, وَالْكَاظِمِينَ الْغَيْظِ وَالْعَافِينَ عَنِ النَّاسِ وَاللَّهُ يُحِبُّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. Those who suppress their anger and they forgive the people, Allah loves those who do good. So Allah is describing the muhsinun, the ones who do good. Two of their qualities, they control their anger and they forgive people. So we want to be the people that Allah loves. Allah is telling you, just control your anger. The Prophet ﷺ says, whoever controls his anger, suppresses his anger, and he is able to carry it out, he's able to speak back, he's able to insult them after they insulted you, he's able to punch them, but you hold yourself back, then Allah will call that person on the Day of Judgment as a leader. You will be one of the leaders on the Day of Judgment. You will have a special place. Another hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, he says, the servant who like swallows, you know, because like when you're angry and you swallow your pride, right? So the one who swallows, nothing has been swallowed or gulped more important than the one who swallows their anger for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward this person with a special reward. And so we have to think about these rewards that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give us. Now, before we conclude, is all anger bad? Can there be good anger? Okay, what is an example of good anger? Yes. Anger at Israel? Yes, what do you got? Stubbing your toe. That's not a good anger. Yes. You. Angry at the sin itself. What do you have?
Angry with someone's rights, or like they don't get their rights.
When angry when someone doesn't get their rights. So you guys are correct, except for the toe. You're wrong. Everyone else is right. Aisha radiallahu anha, she said the Prophet never took revenge for his own sake. Someone did something to him or said something to him, he never got angry, he never fought back. She said unless the rights of Allah were taken away, meaning someone is committing haram, committing a sin, then the Prophet would get upset. Likewise, like you said, standing against injustice, fighting against injustice, getting angry when we see injustice. We see this in the story of Musa alayhi salam. Many times when he sees injustice, he gets upset. Alayhi salatu wasalam. We see as well the anger of a person to fight for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When he sees people who are doing evil and he's there to protect the innocent and he's willing to fight for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is also a righteous form of anger. However, there's a difference between the righteous anger and the ego anger. And some of the things we can ask ourselves, am I angry because my feelings were hurt? Or am I angry because justice or the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are transgressed against? And is my anger in control of me, making me do things I wouldn't normally do? Or am I in control of my anger? Yes, I'm angry, and I'm using this anger to motivate myself for what is good, but I'm in control. I will only do what is halal. I will never go beyond what is permissible and what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants of me. And that's signs of the difference between the good, righteous anger and the incorrect and the evil form of anger. Okay, are there any questions? Yes. Is anger in war? Yes, so we mentioned this. Fighting for the sake of Allah. A person can be fighting with anger, that could be correct, inshallah. Can you be angry at yourself? Yeah, you could be upset with yourself for committing a sin. And then use that, what's important is that you use that for something positive, to drive yourself to make tawbah for the sake of Allah. Yes. Yeah. You might be leading the people, or leading some of the people on the Day of Judgment. Just like the prophets will be leading the whole ummah, there will be leaders, like within an army you have one leader, but then you have other leaders behind him. So you may be one of the leaders on the Day of Judgment. Yes? Can anger be used what? In defense? What do you mean by in defense? To defend yourself, yes. So the Prophet says the one who fights to defend himself and his family and his property and is killed is a shaheed. So we're allowed to defend ourselves. We're not one of the religions that say non-violence, don't ever raise your harm. If somebody beats you up, just let them beat you up. If someone kills you, just let them kill you. No. We fight back and defend ourselves within what is permissible. Right? So in that scenario, to defend your family, defend yourself, you can have that anger, but again, we talked about the difference between good anger and bad anger. Good anger is we're in control of the anger, not the anger is in control of us. Any questions for the girls? No? Okay, inshallah. I think we'll end it here. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.